Are you kidding me? Oh, god damn it. Being compared to an all-time great is one of the most dangerous things for a sports career. From Jerry Stackhouse to Jamarcus Russell to David Clyde, these mistaken comparisons go to show us just how important and talented the legends truly are. So, when a player begins to retroactively be known as the Black Babe Ruth, they must have truly been a monumental individual. And Josh Gibson lives up to that name. Gibson's career and talents were shielded away from the Major League record books of his day due to the segregation constricting the entire nation. In recent years, the MLB has increasingly started to acknowledge this omission along with the rest of the achievement of Negro League baseball players. It is only fitting that the interactive arm of the league catches up and starts to include these forgotten legends. And Josh Gibson is the best one to start with. Unwritten rules and racial lines prevented him from playing in the American or National Leagues. However, Josh Gibson did the next best thing, by playing everywhere he could. Most known for his time spent teeing off the pitchers of the Negro Leagues, Gibson also spent time playing baseball in Mexico, Puerto Rico, Cuba, and the Dominican Republic. Wherever Gibson went, home runs followed. Popular folklore puts his career home run totals in the 800s. Stats and records for the leagues he played in are spotty at best. The stats historians have accounted for puts Gibson's home run totals currently in the mid-100s. The undeniable fact of his career is he was one of the absolute greatest hitters in history. Earning one Triple Crown in your career is a large indicator someone is a great hitter. Earning 2 Triple Crowns ends that conversation. Having back-to-back Triple Crown seasons where you hit over 400 for both of them combined puts you in the inner circle of the dartboard of greatest batters ever. Beyond just those 2 legendary seasons, Gibson's career stats reflect a titan in a league of mere mortals. The early 20th century tape measures put some of his longest home runs at unbelievable lengths, like over 700 feet at Yankee Stadium. Unbelievable lengths, like 538 feet in Pittsburgh. Unbelievable lengths, like I don't believe either of those. Born to Georgian sharecroppers in 1911, Josh was the eldest child of 3. At a young age, his dad, in an effort to better the family, moved north to Pittsburgh and got a job in a Carnegie-run U.S. steel plant. In the mid-20s, Josh's dad brought the family up to the Steel City when Gibson was in 5th grade. Dropping out of an electrical studies program at age 15, Josh began to work industrial labor jobs to help support his family. Eventually, he wound up also working at a U.S. steel plant, but with time at night to still play baseball. At over 6 feet tall and 220 pounds, not only was he massive for his time, Gibson looked and played ball like a full-grown adult. His first spot on a professional squad came at age 16 for the Gimbel's department store team of the Greater Pittsburgh Industrial League. They were so impressed by his performance, Gimbel's hired Gibson on as an elevator operator so he could continue to play for them. It was in this local industrial league that the catalyst for some of the greatest Negro League players and clubs would arise from. Right at the same time as Josh Gibson was coming into his own as a baseball player, the National Negro League was being assembled, centered right there in Pittsburgh. Gibson's professional career would last around 16 years, with his time spent in Latin America playing ball accounted for. Starting from when he was a teenager to the time he stopped playing, Josh Gibson's resume is a Pokemon gym badge collection for a Hall of Fame career. What stopped Gibson from continuing on and setting the baseball world ablaze was his own health. In early 1943, Gibson collapsed at his home and suffered a seizure. Recovering outside of Pittsburgh for a few days, eventually Josh was told the bad news. The doctors had found a brain tumor. Keeping this a secret, the press was told he suffered a nervous breakdown and was now all better. Gibson pushed on and made the 1943 season one of his best of all time. People could see the changes in Josh the last few years of his life. Gibson's performance on the field started to come back down to earth. He had all the telltale signs of a brain tumor affecting who he was. Early in the morning of January 20th, 1947, Gibson collapsed unconscious onto the floor. He briefly regained some awareness, but laid back down again and passed away. He was only 35. The cause was said to be a stroke. Held a few days later, Gibson's funeral was said to have a line almost a half mile in length of people waiting to come and pay their respects to the slugger. We can only theorize what he would have done in the MLB, as Gibson was never given the chance to prove it, but that does not mean his contributions to the game of baseball have been lost. Only a few months after his passing in 1947, Jackie Robinson and Larry Doby broke the color barriers of baseball and began the desegregation of both leagues. As more and more Negro League stars made the jump to the show, the stories of Gibson's power and talent began to circulate around the country in and out of clubhouses. In 1972, the specially designated Negro League committees came together and inducted the first pair of Negro League legends into the Baseball Hall of Fame. Earning the first selection into the Hall was, of course, Josh Gibson. Joining Gibson in this induction class was his old Homestead grade teammate, first baseman Buck Leonard, fittingly known as the Black Lou Gehrig. Forever enshrined at Cooperstown, the absolute dominance that Josh Gibson wreaked upon the pitchers he faced will unfortunately be forever contained to the written world. That is, unless MLB The Show adds him to the game in a future installment. Out of, I would say, probably 100 legends they could choose from, picking Josh Gibson to add to the next game sounds like the best idea.